Hi, and welcome to Fresh to Frozen and Back. I'm Diane Henderiks, and this show is going to make your life easier. In each episode, I'll show you how to prepare delicious and better for you meals, how to freeze them properly, and then bring them back to the table at a later date. This episode is all about tart cherries. Tart cherries are so delicious, and what's interesting is that they're not consumed in their natural state. They're harvested and then frozen. So I'm using Seal the Seasons tart cherries. I love this company. They source, process, and distribute their produce right from your community. So when you go to the freezer section and you get a Seal the Seasons product, you know it's coming from your local community and supporting your local farmer. I love it. Okay, so what I'm making is a tart cherry barbecue sauce that you can use on ribs, which is what I'm using today, and it's so good. So the first thing we do is, well, the first thing I do, everybody makes ribs differently. I always bake my ribs from start to finish, they're baked. At the end, in the summer, I'll hit them on the grill, kiss them on the grill at the end, but I bake my ribs. Okay, so here I have some pork baby back ribs and a rub that I make. So what this is just sesame seeds, dehydrated garlic, onion, and some poppy seeds, and that's it, and a little bit of salt. So what I like to do is I'll put this rub in a mortar or pestle, or I'll put it in a coffee grinder. This was literally all those ingredients just in a coffee grinder. And then I'll keep it in a jar, mason jar in my cabinet, and I use it quite often as a rub. Okay, so then I want to get in there. That's why I have the gloves on. You want to get in there and really massage this into the ribs, even on the sides here. So you want to get in on the sides and massage this all into the ribs. And this is how I start. So what I'll do is I'll take these ribs and I'll put them meat side down. This is just how I do it, and they always come out great. So I'll put the meat side down with the bone side up and bake it for 1 hour. And then I'll tell you what we do after that. So let me get this in here. I have some done already because obviously they take 3 hours to make the way I make them. Okay, so we've got that in the oven, and now we need the barbecue sauce. So easy, so simple, and so delicious. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take some tomato puree, some onions, the tart cherries, so good. You can defrost them or you can put them in frozen, that's fine too, that works well. Actually, let me put these all in so you get that nice tart cherry flavor. Then we'll add the rest of the ingredients. Some red bell pepper, celery. It's a lot to gather together, but it takes over 4 hours to make this because I do it in a crock pot, but it is so delicious and it freezes great. So I like to make a whole crock pot full first. Then we're gonna add some apple cider vinegar, Worcestershire sauce, a little blackstrap molasses. Gives it such a richness of flavor. I love blackstrap molasses. I'm gonna hold on to that to stir it. Then we've got some soy sauce and some bourbon. We've got some bourbon whiskey, which is gonna be really, really, really nice. And we have some pure maple syrup. Then, a little hot crushed red pepper, some allspice, some clove, some chili powder. These are just all things I put together, and trust me, it tastes great. And then a little Dijon mustard, garlic, and a nice hefty pinch of salt. And we're gonna blend this all up. Oh, we didn't. The rest of the Worcestershire, I love Worcestershire. These tart cherries are slightly frozen, so they're still frozen, so they're gonna have a little bit of a thickness. If they're defrosted, it's gonna get thinner, but as it cooks in the crock pot, it's gonna thin out. This is perfect. So what we're gonna do is you're just gonna pour this into your crock pot, And I would fill this up to the top. Like if I'm gonna make this, it's like making chili. If I'm gonna make chili, I'm gonna make a pot this big because it freezes so beautifully. So I'm gonna make this, fill this up to the top. But for now, we have that in there. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cover it and put it on low for 3 hours. And then we're gonna uncover it, crank it up to high for another half an hour or even longer until it gets to the desired consistency. So I have some already done, which I'll show you. Okay, so while that's cooking, I'm gonna clean this up and then I'm gonna come back and make these amazing tart cherry chocolate oat bars that are to die for. See you in a minute. Wherever you are in the country, Seal the Seasons sources, processes, and distributes locally from family farms in your community. Their products not only support your local community, they also provide a farm-to-table experience year-round. Seal the Seasons is the farmer's market in your freezer. Supporting local family-owned farms strengthens your community, and it is our neighborly duty to support local farms now more than ever. Buying local means less time in transit, less greenhouse emissions, and better nutrients and flavor profile. Seal the Seasons products are flash frozen at the peak of freshness in under 24 hours of being harvested. The farmers employ sustainable farming practices because we care about the earth. Anyone that contacts Seal the Seasons through their website, sealtheseasons.com, and mentions Fresh to Frozen and Back will receive a coupon for $2 off of any Seal the Seasons product. Okay, so this is one of my signature bars that I absolutely love. I used to have a cafe at a gym. I've been a certified personal trainer for 30 years, and I used to have a cafe at a gym, and I used to sell these and call them power bars. They're healthy energy bars, and they're delicious. I do almond joy, peanut butter cup, all different types. And this time I decided to put tart cherries and chocolate together, which is so delicious. And I'm using semi-sweet chocolate chips and not a whole bunch of them, but life is supposed to be enjoyed and you need a little sweetness in it, so this is what we're gonna do. Okay, so these are oats. You can use quick cooking oats, you can use rolled oats, just not steel cut oats, obviously, because they're so hard and you can't eat them raw. They have to be like a rolled oat. Then I'm gonna use your favorite unsweetened cereal. You can use oat circles, crisp rice, whatever you like. I'm using shredded wheat. So I love shredded wheat in this. I just love the flavor of it. So I'm just gonna crumble the shredded wheat into the oats. These are all the dry ingredients. Then I'm going to add some chocolate chips, maybe a little more, and some unsweetened shredded coconut. You want to control the amount of salt, fat, and sugar in your food, so buy unsweetened shredded coconut instead of sweetened, and then add your own sweetener to it because you get that natural, real coconut flavor. This is delicious. Same thing with like garlic salt or onion salt. Don't buy that. Buy garlic powder, buy onion powder, add your own salt. Be in control of the food that you eat. And then we have a little bit of cinnamon, which I love. Then we're gonna mix this all up, just kind of incorporate it together. And that's the dry ingredients that are sitting and waiting for our wet ingredients. So for the wet ingredients, we are going to have some milk. You can use almond milk. You can use oat milk, whatever you like. These recipes are all on my website, DianeHenderiks.com. Some freshly squeezed orange juice, delish. 2 eggs, which is gonna help bind these delicious bars. And we have a little pure vanilla extract. Don't use that imitation stuff. You want the pure. You get that natural pure flavor. Nut butter. If you don't want peanut butter, don't use it. You can use almond butter. You can use sunflower butter, which is absolutely delicious. And some honey. Some good quality local honey, hopefully. Really, really delicious. And that's gonna add a nice sweetness. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take these and we are going to, I use an immersion blender. I find this to be the easiest way to do this. So you're gonna take your blender and just put it in the bottom And then you're gonna kind of go on top of that. The key right now is what you're doing is getting the peanut butter and the honey incorporated in here. And that's all in there, which is really good. These are so delicious. Now, we're gonna take the wet ingredients and pour them into the dry ingredients. And we're gonna stir this up so it's nice and wet. And you'll be able to tell how much you have in here. See, I should have used all of this, so I'm gonna use all of this because of the amount of wet ingredients that I have. So we're gonna add all of this here, and then make sure you scrape in there and get to the bottom. So you wanna get, because sometimes the honey kind of sticks in there a little bit. And then we're just gonna mix this all together. Even if you have like a whole shredded wheat in there, that's fine. So as I stir this, it's getting nice, it's nice and wet, but those eggs are going to bind it and help bring it all together. Okay, so now we're gonna take the tart cherries and dice them. So I have the Seal the Seasons frozen tart cherries that I'm going to put right on the cutting board. You know, little pieces, they don't have to be too little because as it cooks, they're gonna kind of melt and blend in there. And this is going to get folded into those ingredients. Now you can use whatever fruits you like. Seal the Seasons has everything. Cherries, blueberries, peaches, you name it. Mixed berries, anything. Okay, so we're gonna take this and we're gonna bring these into the ingredients. And this is gonna give like we have all this sweet stuff and it's gonna add like a beautiful tartness and lots of flavor. Okay, and keep your hands clean with cherries because sometimes they can stain. Okay, so we're just gonna stir this all into here. Oh my gosh, look at that. It's so good and they're so easy. They freeze beautifully. I'm gonna show you how great they freeze. And they're really great. You can pop them even into like a kid's lunchbox or even in your own lunchbox. You can pop them right from the freezer into your lunchbox, and by the time you're ready to have them, they'll be defrosted and all ready to roll. Okay, now here's the easy part. We're just gonna get this all together. Get rid of this cherry on the board because I'm gonna put some baking sheets on here. Okay, so I have 2 baking sheets. I'm gonna put this one here. And with this, you're gonna line it with parchment paper, but what you wanna do is make sure you get the parchment paper does not just fit in the bottom. Make sure it doesn't just fit in the bottom, it needs to overlap because we're gonna push up on the sides as well. So we're just pouring this on, simple as that. And then with your clean hands, spread it out and push. You're gonna push down. Oh boy, this is so good. Just push down until it's nice and firm. Like really give it some elbow, what do you call that? Elbow grease. Push down on it. Perfect. So you're gonna pop this in the oven at 350 degrees for about 40 minutes until it starts to get a little brown around the edges and a little brown on top. After 1 hour with the ribs, you're gonna pull the ribs out and baste them with the barbecue sauce. Then you're gonna put them back, flip them over, put them back in for another hour. So I'm gonna take the ribs that I already had done out. Oh my gosh, so good. Hello, ribs. And I'm gonna pop these in. Okay, so I'm gonna set these on the side and I'm gonna show you how to cut them in a few minutes. Okay, so while those ribs cool a little bit, I want to show you the second step of the ribs. So what we're gonna do, so these have been in there, let's say an hour, right? And remember, we did them meat side down. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip these over. Look at that rub. Oh, if you could smell this, you wouldn't even believe it. And that rub's like all nice and in there now. So I'm gonna flip this over. And I already made some barbecue sauce. And this freezes great. So you just label what it is. You can put this right in the freezer, anything that's left over. It also lasts in your refrigerator for like a month. It's great. Okay, so here's the barbecue sauce that I have. So I'm just going to take it, like a nice hefty amount, and just go run it straight across here, right across the top. Then what I'll do is I'll take a basting brush. Unless I want to put another pair of gloves back on and then I'll use my hands, but it is hot. So we're gonna baste this Oh, it's so good, and you can taste the cherry in there with the Worcestershire and all those spices and the cloves, and it's so good. Why not make it yourself? All you gotta do is throw it in a crock pot, set it and forget it. Forget about it. Forget about it. Okay. Then I'm gonna put this back in the oven for another hour. So we have meat side down, bone side up, with the rub, 1 hour. Take it out, flip it over, baste it with your sauce, another hour. And then after that hour, I just bring it back out one more time, baste it one more time, put it back in for an hour, and they're done. And then I like to serve some warm barbecue sauce on the side. Okay, so let me just cut these guys and show you how I cut them. I mean, this is what I do. So I'll take them, I'll flip them over because it's so much easier to see where to cut if it's upside down. So you'll just kind of go, you'll be able to see where the angle of the bone is so that you can cut each one individually. Now, falling off the bone is good. There's a whole school of thought on that. I kind of like it falling off, but I want a little bit of a tug. But you can kind of tell when you see how this bone has kind of pulled away from the meat. So this is 3 hours in. These are 3 hours in. So, and then as you're cutting them, you'll feel that it might turn. So you're just gonna kind of have to feel around where the cut should be based on how your knife feels. So this way we cut them all. There we go. That's good on the end. Okay, then I'll flip them back over. And then I'll baste them with some more sauce. Look, they're falling. Oh, look at that, so good. I wanna eat this right now. And then to serve, what I'll do is I'll warm up some of this sauce and I'll just do a light drizzle over the top and then serve it. To freeze, which is great. These freeze individually amazingly well. I'm gonna show you what they look like. So you just take the individual ribs. You can leave it in a whole rack as well. Just put it on a baking sheet till it's rock solid, and then put them in Ziploc bags, and it's great because you can just pull out 1 or 2 at a time and just throw them right back in the oven, and they're so good. Okay, when we come back, I am going to make tart cherries, balsamic tart cherries with a ricotta cream, and it's so good. I'll see you in a second. Wherever you are in the country, Seal the Seasons sources, processes, and distributes locally from family farms in your community. Their products not only support your local community, they also provide a farm-to-table experience year-round. Seal the Seasons is the farmer's market in your freezer. Supporting local family-owned farms strengthens your community, and it is our neighborly duty to support local farms now more than ever. Buying local means less time in transit, less greenhouse emissions, and better nutrients and flavor profile. Seal the Seasons products are flash frozen at the peak of freshness in under 24 hours of being harvested. The farmers employ sustainable farming practices because we care about the earth. Anyone that contacts Seal the Seasons through their website, sealtheseasons.com, and mentions Fresh to Frozen and Back will receive a coupon for $2 off of any Seal the Seasons product. Last but definitely not least, balsamic tart cherries with a ricotta cream. It's so delicious and the texture's great and you're gonna love it. Okay, super, super simple. So we're gonna take tart cherries, Seal the Seasons, fresh frozen tart cherries with some brown sugar, just a little bit, and that's gonna sweeten that up. And we're gonna mix that and set this aside. And these are defrosted already, and as they defrost, that sugar's just gonna kind of get in there. Oh, so good. Okay. Then I have almonds that have not been, they're not sliced, they're not slivered, so what I have to do is I've got to smash them up a little bit. So what I like to do is put them in a Ziploc bag, get a mallet, just whack them out a little bit. It's also cathartic. So this is for the topping and it's really good. So it's one of our layers. Okay, so I'm gonna put some balsamic vinegar, lemon juice, and a little bit of sugar into a small saucepan. And we're just gonna let that heat up. Perfect. Okay, so we're gonna stir that. We're just gonna kind of wait for that sugar to dissolve, and that's gonna thicken it up a little bit and add so much flavor to this. And as this heats up, we're gonna pour that over the cherries, and then it's gonna cool. So I have ricotta cheese, and I have so easy, some pure vanilla or almond extract. Actually, pure almond extract is delicious in this, but it depends. Some people don't like that almond flavor. Cinnamon. And we're just going to whisk this up. Just get all that flavor in there. Then I'm gonna add a pinch of brown sugar, just a pinch. We don't want it too sweet because we got that sweet balsamic flavor. Then we're going to fold in some Greek yogurt. And you end up with this light and fluffy cream, and that ricotta just makes it so good. So we're gonna set this on the side until we're ready to use that. Now, I'm gonna let this cook down and reduce just a little bit, and then we're going to add that to the cherries. So it needs about another minute. So I'm gonna turn this off. This is ready to go. And then I'm just gonna pour this over the cherries and then stir these cherries up. Now what's great about this is whatever you have left over of this balsamic mixture, add a little bit of olive oil and it makes a fantastic salad dressing, So that's just gonna sit, and those flavors are all gonna just get all melded together. So we're gonna let that sit for 10 minutes and then we're gonna assemble. Okay, so now it's time to assemble. So I'm gonna use a martini glass, which I love, and I'm going to put a little bit, just a couple of cherries on the bottom. This is enough for like 4 or 5 servings. A couple of these balsamic cherries on the bottom, topped with some ricotta cream, just a little bit, you don't need a lot. And we're gonna layer it, and it looks so pretty. Then we're going to do a little bit of unsweetened coconut, tiny bit, a couple of our smashed almonds. Even if they're salted almonds, that's actually nice too, if the almonds have a little bit of salt in them. And then we're just gonna repeat that. So we're gonna take another layer of cherries. Oh, so good. And we're going to take the ricotta cream. It's such a nice little dessert, and it's just enough, you know? It's got a ton of sweetness, lots of flavor, savory and sweet. Then we'll do one more of the toasted coconut, a little bit of nuts. Then we're gonna top it with the cherries, a little bit more cherries, and then we're gonna drizzle some of that balsamic right in there. Then you're just gonna do a nice little drizzle of the balsamic, maybe top it with a little bit of this for a little color, and another little round of nuts. And before you present it, just make sure you don't have a lot of schmutz going on over there. And then that is your, look at how beautiful that is. Balsamic, Seal the Seasons, tart cherries with a ricotta cream. And when we come back, I'm going to put all this together, show you what we made and how it freezes so great, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so that's your Seal the Seasons tart cherry episode. It's so awesome. So we've got our balsamic tart cherries with ricotta cream. We've got the bourbon barbecued cherry ribs that freeze great. You just stick them in a single layer in a Ziploc bag, freezer safe zip top bag, stick them in your freezer, pop them out whenever you want them. The barbecue sauce freezes great. The balsamic cherries freezes great. The ricotta, I would make that as you do it because it doesn't really freeze that good. It gets kind of watery and weird, so I wouldn't do that. And then, because we still have the bars in the oven, I'm just gonna show you, these were frozen. These are the same exact bars. Look at how beautiful, these are frozen. These are frozen solid, and they will defrost in just a few minutes, but you can see the beauty of the cherries are all in there. You can see the layer of cherries, the chocolate chips, So delicious. And again, they freeze great. I have them in this container, which is not freezer safe, and I will slide that into a Ziploc bag, a freezer safe Ziploc bag. So these are just wonderful little snacks to have on hand, and I hope you enjoyed it. So please share this episode with those that you love, and check out my social media, Diane Henderiks, on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, and take care and tune into the next episode. Thanks.